All right, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Conrad. We got a fun day today. I've had the truck for about 6 weeks now, coming up on 1,400 miles. It's been awesome. I will be posting kind of like a 2-month review about all my thoughts about everything later on. But today's subject is a little bit different. Maybe you can see them in the back over here. We're going to be installing a lift kit, the Peak Suspension 2-piece trail kit with their uniball upper control arms, 2¼ inch lift kit, and some lock off-road combat wheels in a machine finish, and the Arroyo Tamarock RTs with the red letters facing out. So that's going to be pretty cool. I think that looks really good with the bronze oxide, but I won't talk too much here. Just a quick little intro. I'm driving to grab a coffee and I'm going to the shop. I'm going to Yotaworks over here in St. Charles. They're going to help me install everything, get in alignment, all the good stuff. And I will dive into the various products a little bit more before we start getting them installed once I land. But yeah, follow along. Today is lift, wheels, tires, and bump stops. How could I forget bump stops? I've got Perry Parts rear bump stops. If you haven't heard of Perry Parts, super innovative and unique company. They are 3D printing, and it's not what you think it is. It's a very durable process and product, and we'll touch on that more later. But they're 3D printing bump stops, so we're gonna put those on there. One last thing, if you are an owner or will be an owner, wanna chat with some owners, hit up our forum, come join the conversation there, 4gtaco.com. We'd love to chat with you guys over there. But yeah, I'll check back in here in a minute. Gonna grab a coffee, gonna get myself situated, and we're gonna start this install in about an hour. Follow along. So I did this earlier, but I don't know how it's gonna turn out. So I'm shooting another walk around back here out of the sun, so everything's not so blown out, so that we can get one last final look at the Tacoma in its stock form. It will never be like this again. I've got all the parts over here in the truck bed, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got over there for all the parts we'll be installing today. And we're in the back. Let's start off with the wheels. So we've got the lock off-road combats in a machine finish. Check out that faux bead lock. We've got a little bit of a lip in there. Look at how aggressive those spokes are. Those gold bolts should match the bronze real good. Might be a machine wheel guy moving forward. Stoked to get those on. And we are going to wrap those in some Arroyo Tamarock RTs. These have the dual color sidewall, so you can go black or red. The red actually pops really, really good on the bronze oxide, so we're going to be mounting them red outward. Hopefully we can match those with some like red recovery points or something like that. I think those will be sick. Now's a good time to plug the homies at Tires Easy. They got us these tires real quick. We've got a discount code for those. All caps, TRAILCO, TRAILCO, one word. Save you 5% off just about anything on their website. If you're looking for a set of tires, they got you. So this is a new RT option. Arroyo jumping onto the scene. Killer price point. Look at that tread. It's a good tread. But yeah, we got the lock off-road machine combats and some 33 by 12.5 by 17 Arroyo Tamarock RTs. Now for the actual lift kit, we've got the Peak Suspension 2-piece trail kit with the uniball upper control arms. Got a bunch of pro bearing bushings, silent spins in there. Those are real awesome, maintenance free, no noise. We've got the Perry Parts bump stops. I took this little cross section out that they include with the bump stop so you can see how intricate that webbing is. Got my camera over here shooting some photos, but yeah, I think that's enough for now. This is the, well, let's talk about the peak kit a little bit more. So this is the 2 1/4 inch lift kit. The back is just a spacer, and then the front is a, what I believe over here, more of like a preload. Well, this is the preload color. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn here. And then this is kind of the new replacement top hat. So you're getting lift at, from what I understand, both ends to get that 2 1/4. So we're going to be utilizing the factory strut assembly, and we're going to be adding those upper control arms, and then the rear keeps the shocks. All the shocks are staying. We're just putting a spacer there on the back. So that's it, guys. Pretty big day. It's a lot of stuff to do in a day. Wheels, tires, bump stops. Let's get it. We're gonna pull the truck here into the shop, and I'll give you guys a little bit more behind the scenes of what it's like to install this stuff, and obviously when it's all done after wheels, tires, and alignment. So moving on.
Yeah, turn that close one. All right, that's you.
Travis, can we run through this real quick just so people get a little bit more familiar with the front end of the truck? It obviously depends on what we're installing, right? What kind of lift kit, coilovers, whatever. But for this preload kit, walk me through real fast how you typically install this up here on the lift. I know you drop the lowers and kind of that kind of stuff. So,
what you're going to need to do is disconnect the lower ball joint attachment here.
Okay.
You're going to disconnect the lower shock bolt, right, that goes through the control arm. You want to disconnect the sway bar link as well. We're going to loosen up the control arm cams after we mark the position of them. Then we can just swing out the lower control arm.
Awesome.
And at that point, we'll remove the top 4 bolts and pull that strut out. Then we're going to stick it in the spring compressor, and we'll swap out this coil seat here, and then we're going to add the top spacer there. And then just do it in reverse.
Easy peasy.
And then you got upper control arms too, so obviously we're going to swap those guys out as well.
There you go. Let's get after it. All right, now we're taking the tire off here in the back. Pretty simple install today. No crazy shocks or anything. What that thing's already, it's probably frozen on there from washing the truck. There we go. Man, look how pretty and shiny. This is not normal for the Midwest, huh? To see something this nice. Wash your frames, people. So
put fluid film on it.
Yeah, put fluid film on it here at Yotaworks in St. Charles, Illinois. Hit us up. Shocks are staying. The rear only has that spacer, so when it comes to installing that, we probably have to do the lower shock bolt, right? Loosen that so we can droop it maybe all the way.
We could probably just do the top. We could probably leave the lower
okay, yeah,
attached
the top. There you go. That's a little bit easier.
Yep, we're going to disconnect the sway link as well. That should give us enough space to get that spring out and the spacer on top there.
Okay.
On this truck, we may have to disconnect the ABS line brackets just so we don't make that
anything.
too tight. Right,
Sure.
exactly.
Okay. Pretty simple though, relative to what it could be with links and pan hard bars and everything. Disconnect that top shock bolt, drop the spring axle a little bit, throw the spacer in there, replace these hideous yellow bump stops with the Perry parts, and we'll be all done. So we're disconnecting those lower bolts for the control arm. Now we got that shock bolt coming out. Next up, sway bar. Eventually, we're gonna rip the sway bar out. Maybe we'll keep it until we go full suspension. We get new shocks and everything, but I am not a fan of sway bars. Articulation over safety, right, Travis?
Always.
He can't officially say that and endorse that as a shop, but as personal opinion, he may feel that way himself as well. So Travis, what are your thoughts on these new generation trucks, specifically the Tacoma right here?
I think it's great, honestly. I mean, for lack of better words, there's so many improvements. I think that, you know, they really listen to the people on these trucks. I mean, you got a fully boxed frame. The sway bars on the backside, that's great for off-roading as well.
A little bit more clearance.
I love having basically a 4Runner rear end on here. You got the trailing arms and panhard bar.
Yeah.
You got coil springs and not the leaf springs. So I just think this one's a winner.
It is. Everything's so big. Look at that spindle. It looks like it's all aluminum now.
Yeah,
Hopefully a lot stronger. The control arms are massive. Everything on this truck is just massive. It is a mini Tundra, basically. And on the off-road, I can't speak to every single model, although I think it's more ubiquitous on the Tacoma, a 9.5-inch rear end.
Right.
That's only a 1/4 inch smaller than a Dana 60. You could put 40s on that thing. 40s. Travis is listening.
And it's wider too.
Yeah, it's wider, and we have more travel. A lot of really cool stuff. So Travis is loosening the control arm bolts and cams over there, so the control arm can go freely the hard way. Hey, at least we know they torqued them from the factory, you know? Because sometimes you get those things and it takes way too little force. So, but yeah, guys, 4th gen Tacoma. Obviously now the 6th gen 4Runner, we're about it. Almost better in every way, obviously reliability. Time will tell, but it is a Toyota. All right, so once we got all that loosened, that control arm just drops right out. Now Travis is in the top loosening the strut tower bolts. 4 of them now?
Yep.
3 of them on the old trucks, 4 of them on the new one. Everything is just way bigger and beefier. Got little resis on the Bilsteins from the off-road. But yeah, once we pop that guy out, we're ready to start disassembling it and putting on the top hats and the preload collars. And then we're gonna stick the upper control arms on there as well. So moving pretty quick. I think these guys know what they're doing.
We've done this before.
It's not the first time. All right, we're about to drop. I'm about to drop that strut assembly. I love ruining a brand new truck. We're not really ruining it, but. So now we're gonna go over here to the spring compressor. So really, Travis, all we gotta do here is we're gonna compress the spring just so we can kind of move the shock out of the way, right? So then we can install the new collar, and then the other portion just bolts right to that top hat, right? Or kind of slides over it.
Slips over it.
Slips over it. Spring compressors, man, they make this job 100 times easier. I've tried to use those little manual ones, the ones that'll actually kill you. And I think Travis, we were here actually because we did almost die. It didn't blow up on us, but we were so sketched out by using one of them that when we were adjusting Kenny's coilovers, I think that's what it was.
Yep.
We were over here because we were scared. Rightfully so. But yeah, this is super helpful. It's a great tool. If you guys are going to be DIYing this stuff in the garage for you and the homies, maybe something.
One of these are not that cheap.
Yeah, how much do one of these run? A few $100?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think new they're over $1,000.
A good amount, yeah. I mean, it's a big important tool. So if you care about your life, just come to Yotaworks, where we put life and limb on the line for your truck pleasure. All right, so we got the brake lines all loosened up so we don't put too much tension on there. Rear shock is taken off, sway bar link. Now we just gotta drop the axle enough to get that spacer way up in there. So one step at a time. There we go. Got enough room in there. It's gonna be a little tight. And that's why you work on a lift, because this would be a nightmare. Boom. All right, so update. There is no reason to take that guy off because this kit operates a little bit differently. This basically just goes on top of the spring perch on the rubber isolator. So there's no need to disassemble the whole thing like we've seen with some other kits. So for simplicity's sake, we'll figure out how to edit the video. But
this is much easier.
This is much easier than what we thought we had to do, which was remove that little top piece. So it's all good. Looks like we're just gonna have to reassemble that guy, pop it back in there, throw the top hat spacer on there, and we should be good to go. So no need to disassemble your entire shock to make this happen. All right, so we're just reassembling this guy here. You can see our spring preload. We'll put that all back together and get it back in the truck. Easy peasy. While we've got everything apart here, check out the Perry parts versus OEM right there. Not only are you gonna get contact sooner, so you get a little bit better dampening there, but it's a much nicer and more compliant material than factory. I'll let Perry educate you guys on all the ins and outs of the approach to the dampening of the bump stop, but just a quick little side-by-side there. Should bolt right up into the factory holes. We'll see what these bad boys are like. I'm shooting a lot of photo and video at the same time, so I don't think I talked about the peak control arms yet and really the whole kit. Maybe we did a little bit, but again, just for repetition's sake, here we have the new spring perch spacer. Technically not a collar, I don't think, because it doesn't replace the factory one. It just goes on top like we were just looking at the other video. The spacer that goes on top of the top plate. So this is like a two-part kit in terms of where you get your lift from. And then here we go. We've got the peak suspension uniball upper control arms. I believe they got the pro bearing joints there and the pro bearing silent spins. The cool part about these is they legitimately freely spin. So there is no maintenance, no noise. This is the latest and greatest in bushing pivot technology right there. You guys should go check out Pro Bearing if you want to learn more about their stuff. It's looking real good though. A lot better than some of the poly and FK stuff that we've been seeing. Again, not to say that any of that stuff is bad, but we're always looking to take it to the next level. So, all right, now we're getting those new Perry parts bump stops on. Take a look at this. They send like this cross section so that you can get an idea of how the webbing on the inside ultimately gives you the damping properties. Pretty neat. You get this with every kit. This is kind of the internal structure. Boom. Little Trail Tacoma branding. Very clean. Much better than the factory bump stop. Excited to test these out. They're looking good in there. And I don't know where's the other one?
Oh, he took it.
He took it? Well, either way, they're labeled passenger and driver. So if you guys are confused when you're doing an install, you can literally look at like kind of the bottom of the bump stop and it tells you passenger or driver's side. Can I see this for 2 seconds? Uh-oh. Oh no. Bump stop gone. Bump stop down. Check it out right here. So passenger and driver tell you which direction, which side they need to go on. So look at that little guy. Yeah, these are super cool. 3D printed, special polymer. I'm about it, dude. Perry parts. All right, so we've got that top plate spacer installed. It only keys in one way. We thought the logo would face out, but it looks like it only sits in a particular direction. Yeah, okay. The more you know. We're learning as we go here. Everything's a first on these trucks. All right, thoroughness, not that part. Thoroughness is the name of the game here. Look at all that anti-seize on that cam bolt.
Too much?
No, there's no such thing as too much out of here in the Midwest. Well, no, that's not a cam bolt. That's the shock bolt.
That's the shock bolt.
Okay. We are anti-corrosion to the max around here.
You got it in there a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, so we've got everything done over here. Just got to do a final bolt check. The strut lift kit portion is done. Next up, we're gonna take that control arm out and drop the new peak one in. We'll take a quick peek at the back. Everything's all back together over here. If you look way in there, you can see where that spacer lives above the rear coil. But pretty simple on the back. A little bit more involved on the front, because you obviously have to disassemble that guy. But now we just got the upper control arms left and we'll be all done. Okay, taking off the upper control arm now. Obviously we've got this castle nut attaching it to the spindle knuckle. And then we've got the main bolt that goes through there. And then if I remember correctly, you have to disconnect the charge pipe. Is that right up there?
Yeah.
When you're in there? Okay, to get that bolt out. On the driver's side, on the passenger side, is there anything that we have to know about?
Doesn't seem like it. Should
Not
just
really?
slide right out.
Okay. So if you guys are doing this at home, there's one bolt end on that side, one on the other. You're gonna disconnect it, move the charge pipe out of the way. So we're gonna open the hood, then we're gonna be able to pull that out, pull the old control arm out, and install the new Peak uniball. So relatively straightforward, but a lot of different little steps to get this done. I'm trying to get this upper control arm out. Everything is disconnected. There's the charge pipe is disconnected. So we're working on feeding the bolt, which is right there through. A little bit of a pain, but at least we're not bending the body like you had to on some of the older generations or cutting the bolt. A little bit of clearance problems, but not the worst. All right, we got that old control arm out. Bye-bye.
Try to put it in with the bolt and I'll help you feed it up.
Basically just a reverse of the way that we took it out. Look at that. Won't make you guys watch us finagle with this for the next few minutes, but get this guy installed, mount it back up to the spindle and the knuckle, we're good to go. So we've got the upper control arms installed, all torqued to spec, uniball good to go. We're all done here, right?
Yep.
Front end's pretty much finished, just gotta wrap up the other side. We've got everything zip tied up there for all the ABS lines and everything. About to put this guy back on the ground and go get some wheels and tires. Something else quick to note on the splash guards. In previous generations, they had those terrible rubber ones where the clips broke all the time. And Toyota was like, no longer. So they put these little like spinning retention clips. I think you stick a screwdriver in there, right?
Use pliers to compress these two prongs, and then you pull them out.
Okay, so yeah, there's these little prongs inside. So you compress those and then that loosens the clip in the back and you can pop it right out. So when it comes to install, you're not gonna like rip your splash guards or have to replace them every single time. They've made it much, much easier. So huge wheel wells, really beefy components. Everything is bigger, better, faster, and easier, both from an install perspective and from just fitment in general, everything. So in case anybody's wondering how the 4G is doing, I would say it's doing real good, and hats off to Toyota for, you know, listening to the fan base. Truck is back on its own weight. We're doing final torque spec checks. It has a lot of rake towards the back right now because it's still sitting on this little tire, I don't know what to call those, dollies, tire dollies. But you can definitely see that it's got more lift than before. We'll do a quick walk around outside before tires, and then obviously after wheels and tires, but 2 1/4, pretty decent little lift. Let's take a peek at those peak uppers. Very nice. Almost done here. So not only did we do a lift kit, but we maybe did an even more important mod, official air dam removal. High clearance gang got it on lock. Who needs a high clearance front bumper when you don't have an air dam? It looks so much better. Trash. Who needs that? Moment of truth. Tacoma's debut with that new peak lift kit. There we go. Terrible sunlight. Yo. Pretty exciting, man. That looks good, dude. Wait till we get those 33s on there. Here we go. You guys were probably not ready. I wasn't ready. I knew this would look good, but I didn't know it was gonna look this is just next level. The bronze oxide with the red, with the machined. Come on. Look at that, we got that peak kit in there. Making my wheel well look all fresh. But that's it, guys. We've got the 2 1/4 inch lift kit all around. It's sitting a little bit lower in the back because of all the wheels and tires. 33 by 12.5 by 17 Arroyo Tamarock RTs. Perry Parts bump stops, and the machined lock off-road combat wheels. Let's get a close-up. This deserves a close-up. If you guys have a bronze oxide Tacoma, I think machined wheels, maybe some red letter tires, that is the answer. How good does that look? I was 10x more hyped when I first saw it. I was like yelling in the car. Travis is like, I haven't seen anybody be this excited. I'm like, because they don't have machined wheels with those red letters on bronze oxide, buddy. Those are sick. Just enough dish, just enough lip, and these are a +1. So if you guys are curious, and I'll post up links and stuff, what that fits like in the wheel well, what kind of poke you're dealing with. We'll show you guys kind of a top-down view as well. I like poke. I think they look really, really good. So yeah, step 1, lift, wheels, tires, bump stops on the new 4G build. No rubbing whatsoever. I don't know if I mentioned it in this video, but the old wheels and tires were basically like a 32.6 by like 10.5. These guys are just over a 33 and 12.5 inches wide. So they're much wider than the factory and only a little bit taller. But I wanted to make this build relatable, go in stages. I think this is a pretty realistic setup for most people. Next up, we're gonna do some 35s, 37s, who knows? Maybe we get crazy, throw some portals on this bad boy and some 40s, but it's a little bit ways away. For now, it's gonna be it. What do you guys think? Let me know. So good. I'm so happy. So that's gonna be it for today. As always, we appreciate you guys following along. Again, don't forget about 4gtaco.com. I'm gonna be posting about the truck there as much as I possibly can. Our Instagram, trail_Tacoma. Obviously, we're here on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm always answering the comments, so drop me a comment, drop me your questions, wheel, tire, lift kit, fitment, anything. But that's gonna be it for today. Thanks again for following along with our adventures with the new truck, the 4G Tacoma. We'll see you guys next time.